Welcome with us, Enase, today.
Thank you, Valeria. Happy to be here.
So, Enase, let us get directly to the first question. What were the main challenges in your career as a female academic?
When I first started out in academia, I couldn't find anyone like me, female, who had responsibilities outside work, that was struggling to teach as well as publish, to sort of, tell me or show me the signpost as to how I was going to navigate all of that. Everyone around me in my field were male. Most times they were males outside of the country, and therefore it was very hard for me. The second was just trying to navigate the challenges of how I maintain a balance. So, how do I manage my responsibilities outside work and still perform as well in work to be able to progress? And then the third, which I don't know whether it's a challenge, but certainly it helped me, was realizing after a while that even though I worked as hard, or perhaps even harder than my male colleagues, they earned more than I. So those were the three main things I had to grapple with as an academic.
And how did you tackle them?
So the first was just I had to rely on male mentors to help me as best as they could, whilst they could help me in terms of helping to chart my academic path. They couldn't help me with trying to tell me how to achieve a balance. So that was one. The second was that, trying to manage my life outside of work, I learned to rely on the support system. Fortunately for me, it's something that's very strong where I come from, and I come from a large family as well. So for my parenting responsibilities, I hesitate to say, but I outsourced a lot of that. So I always had a cousin, a sister, a mom who would help me to take care of those responsibilities. And with the third, I struggled. With the third, which was how do I close this gap? I remember going to have a conversation with my then boss, and I said to him, "How is this? Why is there a disparity?" His answer was, "But well, you didn't negotiate." I thought, yeah, but I thought that the organization would do me right and place me right. So I learned from that that before I have to negotiate, know what everybody is doing, where they're at, and speak up. So I learned to have a voice and speak up when it came to pay.
What are the things that you wish you had known when you started your career in academia?
If I were to advise my younger self, I would say, you know what? Don't take on every task that you're asked just to prove yourself. Say no and, just get on with things.
This is a very key point. How do you say no? Can you elaborate on that?
I learned how to say no a bit diplomatically. Sometimes I would say, you know what, this sounds very interesting. It's quite challenging. It's something I really love to do. But you know what? Not immediately. My hands are full. So I could get to that after I'm done with this. And, most times it forced my bosses or those in charge to make a choice as to where they really needed me to work. It was one or the other. I learned to pause before and reflect. I learned not to give an answer immediately. And therefore, I would say, you know what, let me mull over this and then I'll come back to you. But I learned to say no.
You mentioned that culturally you benefited of a very broad and supporting network in your own life. How is that approach? How is the sub-Saharan African culture influence the role of women in business and academia?
In my culture, what it is that, we always say it takes a village to raise a child. There is more of a community based approach to parenting, which means that when one has a child or children, you don't have to do it on your own. We're used to taking care of living in communities and taking care of one another. And people are willing to do so if you ask. The challenge is that most times we want to do it all. There's this whole superwoman thing. I can do it all. I can have a career. I can manage my family. I can do this. I can do that. But really, one of the things that I much appreciate about my culture is the fact that there is a very strong bias towards community, more so than individualism. So that helps. The second that perhaps maybe we want to leverage a bit more, but perhaps we don't do, is that this sense of community assures you that even in the workplace, you can leverage on that. So when we speak about collaboration now, What is that about? It's all about coming together and do things that can benefit all rather than benefit one. So there's no winner takes the prize. It's that if working together we can do more, then all of us are winners at the end of the day. Because I believe that really the purpose of business is not to further business, but really is to further humanity. And we further humanity through realizing that we exist because of others and we exist for others.
Appreciate you sharing this with us, and I'm sure this is going to be something that the whole world would like to take up on and build on. Thank you so very much for your insights, for your inspirations, and for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you, Valeria. I've enjoyed this conversation.